Prehistoric Era, before 3000 BC. The prehistoric era refers to the vast stretch of human history before the invention of writing systems, which emerged around 3000 BC. It is the longest period in human history, spanning millions of years from the earliest known hominins to the rise of ancient civilizations. Because there are no written records from this era, our understanding comes primarily from archaeology, anthropology, and the study of fossils and artifacts. This era is traditionally divided into three major periods: the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic ages. The Paleolithic age, or Old Stone Age, began roughly 2.5 million years ago and lasted until around 10,000 BC. During this time, early humans lived as hunter-gatherers, relying on stone tools, fire, and cooperation to survive. They created early forms of art, such as cave paintings, and began forming social groups. The Mesolithic age, or Middle Stone Age, acted as a transitional phase. People began to experiment with early forms of agriculture, domesticate animals, and develop more refined tools. This shift in lifestyle laid the groundwork for permanent settlements. By the Neolithic age, or New Stone Age, starting around 10,000 BC, humans had developed farming techniques, built permanent villages, and established complex societies. They cultivated crops, raised livestock, and created pottery and weaving techniques. Monumental structures such as Stonehenge and Göbekli Tepe reveal a growing sophistication in construction, spirituality, and social organization. The prehistoric era ended with the advent of writing systems in places like Mesopotamia and Egypt around 3000 BC. This marked the beginning of recorded history and the dawn of ancient civilizations. Despite its distant past, the prehistoric era laid the essential foundation for human culture, innovation, and survival. The ancient era, circa 3000 BCE, 500 CE. The ancient era marks the beginning of recorded history, starting around 3000 BCE with the invention of writing in Mesopotamia and ending around 500 CE with the fall of the Western Roman Empire. It was a time of remarkable human development, characterized by the rise of cities, organized governments, codified laws, and monumental architecture. During this era, several great civilizations emerged across the globe. In the Middle East, the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians built early empires. In Egypt, pharaohs ruled over a sophisticated society along the Nile River, constructing massive pyramids and temples. In the Indus Valley, urban centers like Mohenjo-Daro thrived with advanced planning. China saw the rise of dynasties such as the Shang and Zhou, bringing bronze work, writing, and philosophy. Meanwhile, Greece and Rome shaped Western civilization through democracy, philosophy, science, literature, and engineering. Religions such as Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism took root and spread, influencing billions across history. Trade networks like the Silk Road connected cultures and ideas across continents. By the end of the ancient era, humanity had laid the foundations of modern science, government, and belief systems. Though centuries have passed, its influence remains deeply embedded in the modern world. The Medieval Era, 500–1500 CE. The medieval era, also known as the Middle Ages, bridged the ancient and modern worlds. It was a 1,000-year period marked by political fragmentation, religious dominance, intellectual preservation, and cultural evolution. The timeline varies by region, but this era broadly includes the post-Roman period in Europe, the Islamic Golden Age, and the flourishing of Asian empires. In Europe, the early Middle Ages began with feudalism, a system where kings granted land to nobles in exchange for military service. The majority of people were serfs tied to the land. Life revolved around agriculture, local lords, and the Catholic Church, which held enormous power. Monasteries became centers of learning and manuscript preservation. As time progressed, Charlemagne's Frankish Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, and kingdoms in England and France began to centralize power. The Crusades, 1096–1291, brought Europeans into contact with the Islamic world, sparking cultural and commercial exchanges. Gothic cathedrals, scholastic philosophy, and universities emerged in the later period. In the Islamic world, following the life of the Prophet Muhammad, 570–632 CE, Islamic caliphates expanded rapidly. The Umayyads and Abbasids oversaw a golden age of science, medicine, philosophy, and art centered in cities like Baghdad, Cordoba, and Cairo. Scholars translated Greek texts, invented algebra, mapped the stars, and built hospitals. In Asia, the Tang and Song dynasties in China achieved remarkable advances in technology, trade, and governance. The invention of printing, paper money, and gunpowder revolutionized Chinese society. The Mongol Empire, 13th century, created the largest contiguous land empire in history, enabling trade and cultural exchange along the Silk Road. In Africa, powerful kingdoms like Ghana, Mali, and Songhai dominated trade routes. Timbuktu became a center of Islamic learning. Meanwhile, pre-Columbian civilizations in the Americas, such as the Maya, Aztec, and Inca, developed complex calendars, pyramids, and agricultural systems without contact with the Old World. The medieval era ended in most of Europe around 1500, with the fall of Constantinople, 1453, the invention of the printing press, 1440, and the beginning of the Renaissance. The early modern era, 1500, 1800 CE. The early modern era marked a transformative period in human history, characterized by global exploration, scientific inquiry, and shifts in power. It saw the decline of feudal structures and the birth of modern nation-states, capitalism, and colonial empires. The Renaissance, which began in Italy in the 14th century and spread across Europe, revived interest in classical learning, arts, and humanism. Thinkers like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Galileo merged science with art. The invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg enabled mass communication and sparked religious reform. The age of exploration followed. European powers, led by Portugal and Spain, ventured across oceans, discovering new continents, trade routes, and colonies. This was the age of Columbus, Magellan, Vasco da Gama, and others. The Columbian Exchange reshaped global agriculture, diets, and populations, but also introduced slavery, disease, and conquest. The Reformation, 1517 onward, challenged the authority of the Catholic Church. Martin Luther's 95 Theses ignited religious conflict and led to the birth of Protestantism. This era saw religious wars, such as the 30 Years' War, and the eventual rise of secular governance in many parts of Europe. In the scientific revolution, thinkers like Copernicus, Newton, and Kepler revolutionized humanity's understanding of the universe. Observation, reason, and experimentation became pillars of knowledge. These ideas fed directly into the Enlightenment, a philosophical movement that emphasized liberty, equality, and rational government. Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Locke influenced revolutions around the world. Political revolutions began to shape modern nations. The American Revolution, 1776, and French Revolution, 1789, laid foundations for democracy and citizenship, though often at the cost of violence and instability. Meanwhile, empires like the Ottoman, Safavid, Mughal, and Qing maintained power across large parts of Asia. In Africa and the Americas, colonialism deeply altered indigenous societies, economies, and landscapes. This era closed with the Industrial Revolution just beginning to take hold, signaling the shift toward mechanized societies. The Modern and Contemporary Era, 1800, present. This era is characterized by rapid technological, political, social, and environmental changes. The Industrial Revolution transformed economies from farming to industry with inventions like the steam engine and railroads, leading to urban growth and capitalist dominance. In the 19th century, European imperialism expanded into Africa and Asia, bringing infrastructure but also exploitation and resistance. The 20th century saw major global conflicts. World War I reshaped empires and warfare, while World War II caused massive loss of life, including the Holocaust, and ended with the rise of the US and USSR as superpowers. The Cold War followed, marked by nuclear tensions, space race, and proxy wars, ending with the Soviet collapse and US-led globalization. Post-Cold War, technology like the Internet and AI transformed communication and culture. Social movements advanced rights and environmental awareness, while challenges like climate change, pandemics, and ethical issues remain. Today, global interconnectedness defines this era, shaping humanity's future based on how knowledge is used.